Welcome to Leadership in Tech, a bi-weekly podcast series on software engineering and product development. I'm your host, Pradipe Yoggi, a senior engineering leader with more than a decade of senior leadership experience in public and PE-backed tech companies. The views expressed by me or my guests are not the views of my employer or those of my guests' employers. Take a listen, share, subscribe, and comment. Hello, Andrey. Welcome.
Hi, Pradeep. How are you?
Yeah. So today I have Andrey Kudievskiy as our guest. He's the founder and CEO of Distillery, a professional services firm that is several hundred engineers in terms of strength. And I have personally worked with some of the engineers from Andrey's team, and I've just found them to be really high quality. So, Andrey, very happy to have you here on the podcast. Let's have you introduce yourself and Distillery a little bit.
Thank you so much, Pradeep. Well, first of all, thank you for such a wonderful introduction. I am happy to be here. Thank you so much for the invite.
Yeah.
Indeed, we work with your team, and I will also return the favor. You guys have great engineers as well. And I'll just tell a couple of words about Distillery. So as you said, we're a professional services company that does software development for other businesses, for startups and Fortune 500 companies alike. Startups, we usually help them with a goal to scale fast, and enterprises, we usually help them with expertise where they're either lacking or they just don't want to build their internal team. And this is where we come in, make a project, and then move to the next one.
Cool. Excellent. So if I'm not mistaken, Distillery is not like your first entrepreneurial venture. Just looking at your LinkedIn and quite impressed at how many businesses you've started. So what inspired you to start businesses?
Well, first of all, it is absolutely correct. Not my first rodeo. But also, I will say that not every business that I had was as successful as Distillery. And this is how you learn. I envy people who started the first business and just hit it. Was not my story. I have gone through several, but the inspiration was always for Distillery. There is a lot of engineers in Latin America where education is good. The English level is very solid, especially if you look near universities and in the centers where a lot of people get their education and work with the US companies. And then there is United States, where there is a lot of companies and businesses who do require help, and they cannot either hire fast enough or it's expensive. And we all know that United States is not the cheapest country in the world, if not the same, if not saying opposite. So for me, it was, here is the supply of really skilled engineering talent, and here is the demand, and they're just in different countries. How do we connect these two dots, and how do we make it so it is a win-win scenario for engineers and for clients alike?
Wow, that's a really good business plan. So you're primarily nearshore, is that right?
Yes, we are, as a matter of fact, we're 100% nearshore. We've tried local delivery, and we do product development and little bits and pieces here in United States, but I would say 95% of our talent, engineering-wise, is located in Latin America, and we just keep it this way because of the cost benefit.
Yep, makes sense, and also the time zone, right, which really aligns well.
Time zone alignment is the big thing because we have tried different regions, but no matter how well you think 10-hour difference or how well you think you will work around the 10-hour difference or 15-hour difference, it just never works. It never works in the long term. We usually work with companies who want to move fast, and for them, working with engineers who work in the same time zone as they are is crucially important. If you work agile, you want to reach your people 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and you can with nearshore versus some other countries where it's just something that you cannot break. The laws of physics, this is the only thing you cannot break. You can have greatest communication, you can have fantastic processes. 10-hour, 15-hour difference will always be here while the Earth is spinning. So this is why we decided to stick to nearshore.
Yeah, makes sense. Now, how many tech companies have you helped through Distillery?
Okay, at this point, I think we're talking hundreds. As a matter of fact, I was trying to calculate fast in my head because on average we have dozens clients per year, and then some of them stay for years. And actually, we have a client who has been with us for getting close to 10 years. And
Wow.
then there are some who come and go. So through the calculations, it's probably between 150 to 200 clients.
Wow, that's a phenomenal number. And how long have you been running Distillery?
In the United States, it's been well, actually, we just celebrated our year number 11.
Oh, wow. Okay, that's
And the reason why I
phenomenal.
was hesitant to answer, because when I relocated to the United States, I kind of stayed a little silent/quiet for a year, just trying to figure out what I will plan to do. So I didn't really do much on the year one yet. The incorporation documents I filed the first month that I landed in the United States. So for me, going to answer the question of how many years we are operating,
Yeah,
is it counting this year that I did nothing, or should I really be truthful to myself and answer, look, it only started the year after?
yeah. I guess taking the time to figure things out is a
Yeah,
worthwhile time,
yeah.
as we can see from the results. I mean, in 11 years, if you have serviced over 150 or 200 clients, and you have several hundred engineers, that's phenomenal. Uh, so,
It,
well
it took me
done.
some time to go to local events, for example, go to some conferences and figure out if the demand is there, and honestly convince myself that yes, it is, and start slowly building relationships, building the engineering network, and start connecting the dots.
Wow, it's phenomenal. Now, like, how was it like getting your first deal?
It was good. At the same time, extremely difficult, extremely challenging.
Right.
You don't have the history to back it up. You have to sell yourself first. You have to convince the client that you are worth their time, because there is no shortage of vendors. There is no shortage of people and companies that do almost, and I want to underscore it, almost what we do, because we do things differently. But for me, that was a little bit of luck and a lot of labor. This is how that goes. It was not the first client was not the first conversation I had. It was probably conversation number 50. But once you get it, and you just have to deliver, there is no way around it. Even if that at your own expense, you potentially will lose money on this business. You have to do this. As a matter of fact, there are calculations that in professional services businesses, it takes about 2 years just to recoup your original investment. I know that for some other businesses, it's not much, but for some people who they're starting and they're thinking that, hey, I'm starting my own company and tomorrow I will be rich. I just want to take it statistically, you will be very poor for 2 years, and then you will only break even year 2, and then you will only start making money year 3. So my first deal was something that I worked hard to get. I lost money to deliver, and then I still was extremely happy and continued working with this client after that.
Wow. That's a great story because I think it shows the common thread, which is perseverance, right?
Yes,
Never give up, just keep going, going, going until you make it. So yeah,
exactly.
calling 50 businesses and landing one project, that's quite a story. So a little bit about like how do you engage with clients from Distillery?
Yes, we have two unique client sets, or two unique ICPs, ideal client profiles, and thus we deliver two different type of services. Number one, for startups, we usually help them to scale, or fast-growing companies. They just cannot hire fast enough. Try to get 5 AI ML engineers right now, Scala engineers, or some more or less rare technology. I wish you good luck. With all the money you have, until you're Apple or Facebook, it's unlikely that you're getting those engineers tomorrow or in 2 weeks, or as a matter of fact, in 6 months. We have those engineers. We build the network. We have access to tens of thousands resumes, pre-vetted candidates, because our recruitment department is what makes it happen. And then we can get you interviewing those people for 5-6 interviews a day if you can handle this. So this is one side of the business, it's staff augmentation. Another side is with more established companies. When we come, we provide expertise and we provide scalability / extra capacity. I'm trying to think. Yeah, this client is actually public on our website for eBay. eBay can hire as many engineers as they want. However, do they want to build a mobile team for 6 months short project? Probably not, because they don't want to lay off these people. And it's just an extra thing that they don't want to do. This is where Distillery comes. We handle this extra capacity and then we move to the next project. And as a matter of fact, we're staying with eBay for years. However, the model of engagement is just project to project to project. Get this done, get the knowledge, move to the next thing, and then keep working. Versus there is staff augmentation where we almost work as, hey, you need engineers. This is your engineer. You use as much time as you want versus give us something to do. Let's define the requirements. We still work agile. I don't think that waterfall and strict requirements working in our age where we currently stand with fast changing things. But yeah, those are the models.
Excellent. That's great to hear. And one last question about Distillery, how did you come up with the name?
The name is deceiving. I understand this, but also it is a catchy name. Right. Meaning we do nothing with alcohol. However, I am known as, if someone forgets my name, which is a complex one, Andrey for American name, I would maybe go by Andrew, but people just, oh, that guy, oh, from Distillery. Yes, I know him. So I was lucky enough to get the domain. The acquisition of this domain cost as much as a good Tesla Model S. Yeah, so it wasn't the cheap purchase, but the idea came from, at some point, Distillery, we were doing a lot of mobile applications. So clients would come to us and we would try to distill their ideas down to some raw components and make a good product. It's the process of distillation. You take grain, you take water, and then ultimately you have a great tasting beauty in the glass. So this is what we are going after. How do we apply this process to our clients who come to us with a plethora of ideas, and how do we make a great application and put it on App Store or on Google Play? This is how Distillery name came. I was able to buy the domain, and honestly, we started with Distillery Tech domain before we were able to acquire distillery.com. But at the end of the day, this is how the name came. And I will tell you, Pradipe, that it's not uncommon for us to get 3 to 5 emails to our company mailbox saying that, hey, guys, we want to sell you bottles. We want to sell you some special stuff for the actual distilleries. And we used to politely say that, oh, thank you so much, we're not that. And then we just started to stop responding to this. Yes. However, we do play a little bit on our name when the holiday season starts, and every client of ours gets a bottle of whiskey because of Distillery.
That's beautiful. That's a great story. I think it's a classic branding story. I think that can be inspiring. And it's also interesting that you are willing to invest the money to get the domain. So, which I guess also speaks to your commitment to your business and to your idea of making it happen. Yep. So I see that as a very common thread in this conversation so far, that you really had a clear vision, and then you just went at it until you had everything in place, all correctly lined up. So that's great to hear.
Thank you.
So the next one is what are some challenges that you've seen with client organizations, and how do you help bring solutions for them?
Startups, they're challenged with the amount of cash they have and with the amount of time they have. They need to beat their next competitor to the market. So speed is of essence for them. They want to move fast. And that's the biggest thing they have. Usually we come when the market fit has already been defined. They know what they're doing. They know what they're going after. They just can't get there fast enough. And this is where we come and we help. We have domain expertise. We have knowledge of what they were doing, because just thanks to the sheer number of engineers we have, startups usually don't start with several hundred people. This is where we come in and say, look, this is the best way how we know this works. We can help you technologically. You have great idea. Let us help to execute, and you will get there faster than without us. And I've seen people, we have worked with several startups founded by former employees of Google, Facebook, and these guys are extremely smart, but they're also 2, 3, 4 guys who raised a small seed, $2-3 million. It's like, great. Now, how do we build there? How do we show our investors that we're ready for a round going after seed? And then another technological challenge is with those bigger companies and bigger clients. We work with well-established companies. Many of them are publicly traded, and you may think that they know everything or they have access to all the resources in the world. And in a way they do. It's just, do they want to invest in building this? They want to stay focused on their core business. Our core business is software development. We know how to hire, retain, train engineers, and we have very robust processes. Versus for them, might not be their bread and butter. Engineering team is part of their business, but sometimes, not always, overlooked. We come and we bring our processes if they're open to this, and we sometimes even show them how to build things. It's not uncommon for us to end up in the situation where year 3, when we work with established clients, we end up, some of our engineers are managing their stuff in the agile pod. It does happen. And in this case, their challenge is either they're doing a little bit less sexy work than usual engineer wants to do, maintenance, support, breaking down monolith infrastructure and going after microservices. There is messy code, there is spaghetti code that was inherited by someone who wrote it 10, 15 years ago. It's not the greatest job in the world to make it modern, but we're not afraid to do this. We have, as a matter of fact, we have teams of engineers who are, I call it, differently wired, and we know which to put on startups. Let's move fast. Let's do things. Let's break. Versus, hey, one thing you don't do is you never break things. You go and on the enterprise client, you just take it slow, methodical, and making sure that the older thing still works until we launch the new one. And that does require a different mindset. So for those enterprise clients, we help them to modernize. We help them to not become obsolete. And often we also help them with technical debt that they just accumulated without even knowing that they're accumulating technical debt, because their main business is just doing fine. But they're getting 10 years behind already from the industry, especially in fintech, where we've seen a client that was doing great, a big insurance company, not having a mobile application, where all of their competitors were already there.
Oh, I see. Wow, that's a fascinating view of what it takes to run a professional services organization. So thanks for sharing that. So you mentioned you have like several hundred engineers and often very high quality, very specialized skill set and all that. So like what has been like successful actions in terms of retaining talent? Because we all know in the tech industry, retaining great talent is like one of the biggest challenges, right? So how do you like manage that, and what has been your, I guess, successful action?
Absolutely. You're absolutely right, Pradeep. We like hiring senior talent. We're, in this regard, quite unusual company. When you think about our competition, they sometimes have a mix of talent, junior, mid-level, senior. We always like to start strong and continue strong, meaning that senior level talent all the way through. And for us, it is very important to give them a meaningful work to do that they like doing this. So when we do our recruitment process, when we do a client match, when we do, like, we need to understand that this person will enjoy working on this client. And it's not uncommon for us that after 12 months engagement, things are great on the client side. We just got our NPS score at 63. It's way above industry standard. So that's something to be proud of. But then we see on ENPS, employee net promoter score, we see that on this client it's dropping, and this engineer is unhappy on this project. We actually proactively rotate them out, asking them what's not working, why, etc. And sometimes they want to learn new technology and there is no way on this client to do this. Sometimes they want to change the industry. They want to go elsewhere and try new things. So I think our biggest reason to be successful in retaining high quality and high caliber talent is, do you do the work that you enjoy doing? Keep asking them this question and keep looking for those new and exciting clients. And I will tell you that in Latin America, where our engineers are, US clients or US based companies are usually seen as this is something that you want to work for because of the culture set, because of the just technologies they use, scale sometimes. Latin America is still, it is a developed country. There is a lot of big businesses, but the biggest technology companies are here in the United States, undoubtedly. So for them, working for US businesses is already a plus, but also working on the business and the client they want to work with, it's another huge plus. And this is why we have engineers staying with us for a decade, because they always find a meaningful work to do that they enjoy doing.
Wow, that's phenomenal. And I think just hearing how you manage your talent sort of speaks to that. Not only are you looking at client satisfaction, but also looking at your staff satisfaction, constantly measuring that and tweaking things. That's phenomenal. I think there's a lot of leadership lessons that right there from what you just said. Very inspiring. So, having run your business for as long as you have, is there a myth or two about management and leadership that you have uncovered?
Yes. The myth number one is there's a lot of success and you have to be a lucky person. And I believe that luck will not be a negative thing. You still have to have it. But I believe that there is a lot of labor that needs to be present. And the second myth is leaders are born, leaders are not developed. I was born a software engineer, and this is the way how I am still wired inside me. I've done software development as a part of my career in the past, but and was not even thinking about going into management. My challenge was I didn't know even how to become a manager until chance was presented to me, and I took it. And I think I was not good at it until I have consciously worked towards how do I become a manager. I did a year in Stanford. I did executive MBA program at UCLA Anderson. After I already had a tens of millions of dollars business.
Wow.
Only after that, I went and got my business education. So I'm a big believer that no, leaders are not born. Leaders are made. And if you want to become one, find a way and make some small but conscious steps towards it.
Wow, that's a phenomenal answer. And really two great myths to bust. Thank you for that. So on to the next question. What are some challenges you have faced with entrepreneurship and being a business owner? And if somebody wants to start and run a business that becomes successful, what are some advices that you might give them?
Okay, let's start with a challenge. I think an interesting one that I didn't think I would even experience in my career was it is lonely at the top. Once you get there, it's not about your employees. You still will be talking, you will make friends, but you will experience different set of challenges. And for me, the resolution for this was joining professional organizations where CEOs and founders are the main cohort, and then just talking through all the challenges you have. And in terms of my advice is actually start asking for advice as soon as you can. And that comes down to don't be afraid to ask. The worst thing you can get is people will say no. Don't be afraid to, if you're a small company, not ready for the board, get the advisory board together. Your company is worth nothing until someone is ready to pay money for this, but advisors can make it way more valuable and way faster. And then I wish, and this is the advice that I want to give to myself if I'm looking back at several years ago, build the board of directors. It is uncomfortable to bring someone who manages you when you're the founder and ultimately the CEO and the owner of the company. Put someone in a position where they can tell you what to do. They can evaluate your performance. That was something that I didn't know that I needed. And it was great. Having people who oversee you help you and they have vested interest in your success, this would be my number one advice. Ask for advice, ask for help. Don't be afraid to do this for future entrepreneurs.
Wow. And I'm having like a mini MBA education right here.
Unfortunately, this is based on my personal experience. And I tell you, Pradeep, I wish I have done this sooner.
Yeah. No, this is all great points. Switching gears a little bit from the business and entrepreneurial side to the tech aspect of it, what are you most excited about in tech right now?
I'm not going to be a unique guy saying Gen AI and all the things that it will bring, specifically agentic AI. I am anxiously waiting for things to be automated that I didn't think that previously would even have a chance to be automated. I'm not obviously looking for a lot of industries to be, or a lot of people to be left without the job, but I believe it will inevitably happen. Some industries will suffer more than others. I have a simple example. I love executive assistants, but I believe that their job will be gone one way or another. I want to tell AI agent to go and book my flights the way how I want them. And I want to do this once, and I want this to be done in no time. I want, if any changes comes to my email, I want agentic AI to pick it up and modify according to my calendar schedule that it still fits. And I believe that in 6 months, maybe 12 months, we will be seeing this pretty. And last but not least, I was one of the first people who've tried Waymo for different reasons. I was in San Francisco. I was one of the very early adopters. The barrier to entry was so low because you already downloaded, you know how to download the apps for Uber. You've done this, you know how to get the card. And Waymo just capitalized on this. Uber did it all for them. Now, in order to get to Waymo, it's you do this in no time. I think the biggest thing that I'm excited about is how much it will affect the lives of people with low mobility and who cannot drive. Because right now for them is you call the cab, you still have to do things. And sometimes it's actually a little bit more expensive. And there are services who do this for you, government services. However, imagine the situation where self-driving is here. You can just hop in your car, drive to the grocery store, drive to whatever place you want. I have older parents, and for them, this would be a life-changing thing if that was working outside of the big cities in the areas where it's still not mapped. And I'm very, very much looking forward to it. How do we get older generation of planet Earth be as autonomous as we are younger people right now? My parents is a good example. They're getting into the age where it's difficult for them to drive, and they sometimes would avoid doing this because they just deem it unsafe. If they had a chance to go to Tesla, Waymo, or any other automotive company that will take them safely and autonomously from place A to place B to get their groceries and get them back home, I'm very excited for this to happen because it will affect lives of many, many people, and planet Earth does have an aging population. So selfishly, I'm thinking about my parents and I'm thinking about me in 30, 40, I don't know, hopefully maybe 50 years from now. And it's a big shift in how mobile, how free will our parents be and ourselves will be in not so distant future.
Yeah, and I can see this progressing in other things. Like as people get older, maybe some sort of a little bit of an exoskeleton kind of a thing, which helps you walk better, right? These kinds of things. I mean, it sounds very futuristic, but I think those are very exciting areas that AI and robotics can really help us.
Yeah. Look, sorry, Pradeep, just even very simple. Look, who enjoys doing laundry and cleaning your house?
Oh, yeah.
If you have the means, you would invite someone to help. But majority of the population do this themselves. I do it myself, and this is not what I enjoy doing. I wish I had a small little robot who would simply navigate my house, learn it, will know where the laundry is, will know where I put my clothing. It's like, move one thing to another, wait for 30 seconds, get a signal from the washer that it's ready, move it to the dryer, get the signal from the dryer, it's ready, open the dryer door, let it be. That's it. It's such a stupid, simple thing, but I believe that people will pay dearly for this. If that's ready, if that's working, oh my God, it's going to be one of the most successful products on the market. Everyone now has the washer dryer, which was not the thing not so long time ago. Everyone has the robotic vacuum cleaner, and those are massive companies. And I believe if you can automate it even further, one step more, that's a big success that I'm looking forward to happen, and I'm sure I will see it with my own eyes.
Yeah, for sure. And maybe you can help build it with Distillery.
Looking forward to it.
All right. So a little bit closer to home in terms of software development and product development, how do you see AI influencing these two areas? And what is some, I guess, advice or things that, maybe engineering leaders should look out for?
Yeah. Let me start from far. We were afraid with Gen AI adoption that we will become useless and the job will be no more. However, it actually was quite different. You have to adopt AI. You have to become AI-enabled company. You have to know how to use the tools. And it's not just a single tool. Our engineers, 100% of them use AI one way or another, but it's also not mutually exclusive. They use ChatGPT, they use Copilot, they use Cursor, etc. I think that in this new age of AI, it is expected for you to use it. And it wasn't clear for us when we started about 3-4 years ago to play with it, but now it's just obvious and evident. Without AI, you will lose to competition because you will make things slower and less efficient. So with engineers, with software developers, it's just another tool in their toolbox. It is a very big tool. It is industry changing. However, it is a tool. Note how to use it. Look at what's new, what's coming. Stay sharp. Learn new things. But think about this. This is your helper. Now you can learn, and I quote learn, multiple technologies. You can, if you're a backend developer, you can still do front end, small things with the help of AI, and you don't need to wait for your colleague to actually plug it in because it all will be done. So for our clients, honestly, it's a net benefit because what Cursor or OpenAI license costs $25. That's the corporate one. And it increases the productivity of engineer by 30, 40, 60, if not double. It's like, well, that's a great trade-off. You're paying $25 to get someone twice more efficient. Oh my God, I would take this trade any time of the day. So the expectation on the client side is right now, developers they became a multi-tool, almost Swiss Army knife. If there are small things that you need to do, you no longer expect to go to build automated QA and deploy it, or you no longer need as a front-end developer wait for the backend guy to give you some results. You can build it yourself. It doesn't diminish the need for those engineers, but the engineers who don't know AI, they either already became obsolete or will become obsolete very, very soon. So the future is there. You got to use it. You got to start using it as a tool and be comfortable that it will do things that you will tell it to do without you. That's okay.
Okay, that's a great perspective and a very positive one. And I think you're seeing results actually in your team in terms of the productivity improvement that you're seeing. So that's great to hear.
But I will tell you,
Pradipe,
just to add a little bit more to this. We've seen several departments staying flat or struggling where Gen AI affected them disproportionately. For example, product department, write technology documentation. What would usually take 3, 4, 6 hours per set of features now can be done in 2-5 minutes, and it will be a very good quality. Manual quality assurance, generating data sets, for example. Before you have to generate, if you need to generate a specific data set for testing feature that you will spend time doing this. Gen AI can do this in a matter of seconds, maybe minutes. Those are departments in our firm that see how Gen AI affected them. However, data department, data engineering, Databricks, Gen AI, AI/ML, they're just growing like crazy. So we are seeing on the professional technology side, there is a different demand for services, but that's also normal. I remember back in the days when we were seeing crazy demand for mobile applications. And then suddenly native app development, for example, became everyone goes React, everyone goes cross-platform. There is less and less need for something that is not as complex to build it in two different languages. Why would you do this? There is no reason. So we're seeing this changing. And for us as a professional services business, it's important to understand what the next change will be and be ready for this. Right now, I'm seeing that the next change will be data, because everything that you think about Gen AI, you gotta have good data first in order to capitalize on it.
Yeah.
Because if you have the data that is less than clean, less than structured, less than ideal, let's put it this way, you will get less than ideal results. Even in simple things like building bots. Well, try to build a chatbot that answers based on a database of knowledge. If your database of knowledge is meh, you will be given meh results. So I think the future is in data. The future is in AI/ML, and still there are businesses and parts of my business that will get affected disproportionately and will see less demand.
That's a great way to summarize what you're seeing. Now, how did you, from an organizational standpoint, how did you get AI adoption into your teams and engineers? Was there you had to build a culture of being able to use this tool comfortably, right?
Yeah.
Was there anything that you did specifically, or did you just get a corporate license and let people go free with it?
I wish that was that simple. We did a 3-step process. First of all is educate everyone in the company, back office, recruiters, HR people about AI. And we did a specific training course. Our L&D department designed it, and everyone has to go through this mandatory training. Second is department training, because mobile department will need different tools than data department, different tools that quality assurance or product development department. So we designed by department training. We actually invited someone who would give the courses, and it was the second step. The third one was specific to the client, because we, as a professional services company, we only exist to service clients, and we needed to understand what is the need for the client. Now we know that our team is ready. What is the readiness of the client? And I will tell you, Pradipe, that there are some clients of ours who still have in their MSAs, master service agreements, clause, do not use Gen AI. Just don't. Without our permission. And then we had to ask in writing, can we use this tool? This is the reason, those are the licenses. That sometimes they would have their corporate set of licenses and only allow us to use this. So that was the third step. How do we make it tailored to specific client? So we're not breaking the terms of MSA, working for them, and helping them still, because the goal is to, why do we learn this new tool? The goal is to, how do we make it useful for our client? So that was the 3-step process that I believe every professional services business have to go through, but you gotta start at the bottom, at the basics, and educate every single one in your organization.
Yeah. I see that the recurring theme that I see is you're very systems oriented. You build systems, right?
I'm an engineer. I believe this is
totally.
why.
Yeah. But it's fascinating to see that you're applying at a large scale to a whole organization in terms of how to scale it, how to make it adopt new things. So it's great to see that engineering approach just translate into management. And I personally believe some of the greatest engineers are probably also very good managers, right? Especially if they have the people skills, right? So because it naturally brings you to systems thinking and like building a machine that builds things. So it's fascinating. So a little bit on the hiring side. So you have several hundreds of engineers, very specialized skills and all that. So now is there things that, like engineering leaders could learn from some of like your successful experience in terms of attracting and retaining talent?
I believe yes. So our recruitment department has very robust and rigid structure and processes. However, it is also important that I will tell you from the professional services business, we have to service our clients, but first we hire to distillery. Will you want to work with this engineer? Will you want to go and get coffee? And we still have offices in Mexico, 2 offices in Argentina, in Buenos Aires, in Cordoba, and people meet. We're not a virtual company. We actually like to maintain this hybrid approach to the business. So for me, that's important that even if we're inviting someone to distillery to work on the client, but will our head of department want to work with this engineer on another project? Once this project is over, we want this person to stay. We want them to be deployed on another project. That's number one. And number two is how expandable is this skill set? Sometimes we hire for one client, it's a one-off project, and we know this and we communicate this very, very clearly that this is what you're here for. However, in 98% of the cases, if not 99, we want to hire them and we want them to stay. And the goal is to look, this is what you will be doing right now. Then there will be bench time that you will have to go through the courses, go through the training. We will give you help. There is a department for this. There is stack managers, heads of departments who will help you to change your skill set, learn new things. Are you willing to do this? Can you show us an example of how you moved from here to here? So we really try to dig into this. And our recruitment is a multi-step process. It starts with HR. It's just a simple coffee test. Some people are not culturally aligned with us, and that's okay. We don't need to work with every engineer in the world. And the second is, it's actually quite obvious, but English test. In the countries where we work, English literacy is quite high. However, not everyone speaks English, and that's okay. We only work with this subset of engineers. And then technology testing. So we do test people. We give them tasks, not big, complex, or time-consuming, but something rather creative. And we test the ability to be flexible. This is something that our HODs are doing. We actually built a set of engineers that specifically do interviews. We compensate people for their time doing this. And their goal is to don't hire everyone, hire A players. And I'm a big believer that A players hire A players. If you are a high caliber engineer, you will not want to work with someone who is several levels below you until they're just starting their career. But if you're hiring someone senior, which this is our business, team of senior engineers hiring senior engineers, you want someone to be at least at your level. And ideally, you want this person to impress you. So for us, it's a multi-step process that we take very, very seriously, and we lose on a lot of candidates. But also, the biggest thing is, will you enjoy working with this person professionally? Can you build good relationships? Will you trust them to work on this project, work on the client, and making sure that you don't have to spend your time managing them day to day or helping? And that's the biggest thing that we're trying to solve. And I will tell you, not every hire we make is 100% successful. We had rotations, and it's normal. It's just part of the people business. But we want to make sure that this does not happen often. And if it does happen, we know the reason.
Yeah, that's great. You mentioned that you do skill tests. In the age of, agents, AI agents and stuff, how are you testing for skill?
Okay, you see me smiling. It's an evolving thing, meaning that first of all, you can modify and generate questions that are unique for each interview. That one person who passed the test, and if they shared the questions with another candidate, basically those questions are useless. But we're okay if they shared the questions. It's the way how the answers are being presented. And if you dig into one question, so you got the answer, but start digging deeper. Go 1 or 2 levels, and this is what our heads of departments are very good at doing this. They will take one of the answers, will go 2-3 levels down. If you know the answers 3 levels below, that means you've done this before. And that means there is no more reason to test you even deeper. You're telling the truth. You are showing your experience. So, but we are using the tool, and unfortunately that skips my mind right now, that generates questions for specific engineering technology. And it's a wide data set that is almost unrepeatable.
But the engineer using it, Gen AI, you just counter it by basically doing this deep analysis of their solution, right?
Yeah.
That's how you know that the person actually knows and has just not used Gen AI to generate an answer.
Yeah. If we see, there are tools right now that can screen for automatically generated code. Yes. So we tried it, but it always solved very, very fast on in-person interview, where you just ask, well, what about this? Can you explain it to me? And then you go to levels below. And if you see that the person is just floating, there is a good indication that level 1 was not created by them, level 1 answer. So they cannot get to the level 2.
Makes sense. Cool. So now for the younger generation, somebody that is starting out, in engineering or is considering software engineering as a career, what advice would you give them?
Be open-minded, have courage to learn new things, and understand that starting career right now as a software engineer, you will potentially have to learn more than your predecessor did, and be okay with that.
Good. That's a good answer. I think that's a valuable answer, actually, for new people.
I've seen people starting, Pradipe, I've seen people starting as .NET engineers, 15, 20 years ago, still being .NET engineers. I don't think that this will work nowadays. If you start as .NET engineer, you will highly likely learn 5 more languages in 10-year span.
Yeah, that's true. And I think we have the tool set to help us learn quicker because of the Gen AI and other tool sets. So that's great. Now, speaking from your experience, what advice would you give engineering, meaning leaders that are running engineering organizations?
Become better at people management, because you're already a great engineer. And I've seen this with our own team. It is challenging to develop the other side of your career to become a good leader. Our engineers we start with senior level, right? So there is maybe a couple more levels until you hit the head of department or stack manager. Now, does it make you automatically a great leader and a great people person? Unfortunately, it does not. We had to get specific trainers hired, paying companies to train our leadership team on the technology side, on the delivery side, to become good managers, because that does not come to them naturally. They're being good engineers naturally. They have tech mind. It doesn't make them a good leader. So they still need to make this conscious effort of, how do I become a good leader to my engineers? How do I stop micromanaging, because they think that they know how to do better. And by the way, in many cases they do, but let other people do it differently. It may not be better. Let them do this one time, make mistake, learn from it. Next time they will do it again differently, but on a higher level. And then third time, you will see them doing excellent thing. Again, different from what you would expect to do yourself, but it's them, it's their life, business, and responsibilities. Removing this barrier of, I'm a software developer, I want to get my hands dirty, I want to code. As higher you go, the less billable you have to be in the professional services companies, and to the point where your billability is 0 and your only responsibility is to make sure that everything runs smooth as a machine. How do you do this? You have to learn this skill. So for people who grow, they need to decide if they want this. First of all, we have had cases when people would move into management position, decide this is not for them, I want to go back to coding. That's fine. But if you really want to stay on this path, seek for outside help. If you feel that you're struggling with being a good manager, if there is training available, if there is a course you can get, if there is a professional organization that you can join, does the company provide you this level of support to become a good leader? And when we were building the structure, we invested a lot into leadership courses, into management courses. We even done for our heads of departments, we brought sales training for them, which sounds strange. Why would you sales train engineers? But this is actually a valuable skill because they join our clients' calls. And for our leaders who represent Distillery, I want them to understand how to interact with clients, how to position ourselves best. And this is, trust me, Pradeep, this is not their expertise, not their nature. They had to learn this. And they were extremely thankful for this because it was a completely new experience for them. So if I sum this up, for someone who wants to grow into management in software development, you have to ask for help. You have to learn how to manage people, and you have to understand that it's not your nature. Thus, make it a conscious and continuous effort.
Fantastic. That's really great advice. And I can see how, you are like so focused on building an organization that is people focused, because that is what keeps you going. And I see that you invest a lot, not just in technical skills, but also in like leadership skills. So it's like a very thoughtful form of leadership. So I appreciate you sharing that with us.
Thank you.
So now going to a little bit of a closing side, like your personal side. You grew up in Russia, is that right?
Yep.
And you also got educated there, and you probably started a business or worked there. Right? Like, how has that experience growing up there and being educated there shaped your journey, both as an engineer as well as an entrepreneur? Coming into the United States as well, which is a very different.
Yeah. We're talking about country or the entire region, Eastern Europe, that is not necessarily known for entrepreneurship mindset. If I say more, entrepreneurship was actually prohibited there, meaning that you have to go and work for a factory, and being a self-made entrepreneur was semi-illegal back in the days when the Iron Curtain was still present. My dad, he was trading fishing supplies. I still know all the lines, all the hooks, all the fishing boats, and this is how my career in the or interest in the entrepreneurship started. But then I got into technology. I got my first computer. Laptops were not even in the picture right now. It was a huge, big machine. And it was just cool to play with it. I was fascinated what you can do with your fingers on the keyboard, how that reflects in the things moving on the screen. Coming to United States was not necessarily on the top of my mind while I was graduating from the university, but it was apparent that when I started business, you have to be close to your clients. This is the best way to provide excellent service. You have to understand the mindset. You have to be with them on the same soil, ideally. And in the ideal scenario, you have to have ability to shake hands. So for me, coming to the United States was a very easy decision from the perspective of this is what will propel my business forward. However, the actual realization and establishing roots here was a very challenging story. You have to go through all the legal hoops. It took a lot of money from legal side, a lot of steps. And I think that the only thing that brought me here is just this burning desire to build business. I did not have good entrepreneurial experience in Russia in terms of there was no education available. Every university I knew of, Stanford, Harvard, UCLA Anderson, my alma mater, is here. You hear about them even if you live in different parts of the world. Those are the names that you hear all the time. And this was my dream, to get to the United States, to get my business education. It just happened to be that I was lucky and tenacious enough to build the business first and then get the business education. So I did it a little bit different. But I believe that learning entrepreneurship early from my dad, and then trying to do business in a country that did not support entrepreneurship, period. To establish the company, you have to go through a nightmare over there. Versus here, you just go and file a one-page document and voila, in 1 week or even less, you have a company, you have a running business. It was so much easier here in the United States. And my life journey just shows that if you want something and you have this mindset, you want to try new things, things will happen. Things will happen to people who want those things to happen and who actually work in order to, realize the goals.
That's a fascinating story. Now, you mentioned that you studied computer science, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
So, and you also mentioned that you have helped your father in his fishing hook trading business. So you sort of had some entrepreneurial experience or exposure to it.
Yeah.
In an environment that was not friendly to businesses and so forth. So when you graduated from college as a computer science major, did you already have the idea that you wanted to start your own business? Or did you just for the love of coding, you wanted to do it for whoever was willing to hire you as a consultant?
It's a great question because the story goes, I became manager by choice, literally by accident, and not because I wanted to in the beginning. So when I graduated from the university, I started working for a Swedish company who brought me to Stockholm, and I was doing some Microsoft SQL services work that probably dates myself back in at least 20 years.
Yeah.
I was actually the data guy. I was building all up cubes, building SQL service reporting services for them, etc. And then after a while, they sent me back with an amazing amount of money, insane at the time. For me, it was 40,000 euros. They sent me back saying, look, Andrey, you're good, but now go and hire 5 Andreys. And I was sweating because I didn't know how to hire people. And it's like, I'm managing 5 people on my own. That's a lot. And you guys gave me that much money. What am I going to do with this? Well, first of all, that turned out to be not an insane amount of money, and the money would go fast. Hiring 5 people is a long journey. And just when you hire first one, you probably hire your friend. Second, most likely going to be your friend. Third, fourth, fifth, you soon will run out of friends.
Yes.
I was lucky enough to build this company, first Swedish company in this region, to 70 people before I left. So I was, in this case, lucky to learn mistakes and learn the trade using someone else's money before I started my own business. But also imagine how naive I was, Pradeep, when I started my own business, thinking that, well, I know how much the engineers cost. I know how much we're being billed at. There is a big difference, gross margin in between these two numbers.
Yeah.
I'm starting my business. I will bill exactly the same amount, and I will hire people that I already know of. It turns out that you still can hire the people that you know of. You can pay them.
Yeah.
But this number is very much out of your reach because you don't have clients, you don't have legal presence, you don't have anything, marketing. Nobody knows who you are. To get to this number from where I started took me additional 3 to 4 years because I didn't understand the business after all. I realized that building business with someone else's money is great. You learn something. You still don't learn a lot of it. You still don't learn the other side, demand generation, go to market. Those were not my problems because I was ultimately, when I realized later, I was country manager at a time versus being the business owner. You have to put your focus. There are some really good operational people. You have to put your focus as a CEO, as a founder, on how you build a business. Build the demand first, the supply will come. So my story is, I haven't become a manager by interest or by choice, by sheer accident, but I realized that I wasn't even a good manager at a time from the perspective of it didn't give me advantage in becoming an entrepreneur. So only when I became entrepreneur, that was the part was like, oh, but my clients are in the United States. They're great people. And I started traveling. I started shaking hands, kissing babies, saying that, hey, I will be in the United States, in Los Angeles in March, 2 weeks. Just want to say hi, stop by, have lunch, coffee, happy hour drinks, whatever works for you. I'm here. Just let me know. And this one thing led to another. And a client of mine at a time from Orange County told me, Andrey, it's great that you're here, but then tomorrow you will be gone and there is no one else here in the United States. If you are serious about your business, come over. You have to be close to your clients. Mind you, it was before pandemic. We didn't know that pandemic would even exist. It was all way more personal at a time. And I took his word seriously. His name is Mike. Mike, if you hear me, thumbs up. Thank you so much. You changed my life. Him telling me that you got to be here to shake hands actually solidified my decision of I need to be close to the clients. And this is how the story of Andrey coming to United States was born and realized a few years after, because you can't build business without knowing whom you work with. And whom we work with are US-based clients. We service US businesses. So me being here, and by the way, when I said 90+% of our company are located in Latin America, well, the rest of the people who actually work with clients, day-to-day operations, client partnership, account management, marketing, sales, it's all here in the United States. We keep it intentional. If you work with clients, finances, we want to have US presence. Delivery is done from Latin America because that's where we have insane amount of extremely qualified talent who are happy to work for US businesses.
That's great. Wow. So this move that you made to the United States was after you had incorporated Distillery, or Distillery came after you came here?
Almost at the same time.
Same time. Okay. Fascinating. So, you've been in tech for a long time. You've done entrepreneurship in the tech area. Like, how has that influenced your personal life?
Number one, I grew patient with startups in general. I understood that not every company will be successful in the startup world. Statistically, way less than half. And personally, it just gave me an advantage in how I see other things, because I sometimes see little projects as startups. And this is exactly how I take them. This is a little risk. I know that it will fail, or actually has the high potential to fail. What can I do to mitigate it? What lean approach I can take in order to increase the chances of not wasting money or my energy? That would be number one. And number two, which is quite surprising, we chatted about kids earlier. My kids changed my personal life when it comes down to work more than I could think about it. Because before being in technology and staying in technology, you know that the work hours are basically just, you know what, they exist, but nobody look at them. Yes.
It's almost all the time. Right?
Yes, exactly. All the time. You're on. Staying in this mode, I was very comfortable. But once my kids were born, I realized that I'm enjoying other things in life. And I really want to spend time with them. And this is the non-recoverable time. If they're 5 and 9 years old, this is the only year that they will be 5 and 9. Next year, they will be 6 and 10. So I'm trying to get them as much attention, love as I can without hurting the business, obviously. But I also got the reason why I work. I work because I want them to get the chances that I didn't have. I didn't get the education that I wanted to because my parents didn't have the means, and that's okay. I love my parents. They gave me everything they could, but I want my kids to not have everything. I want them to have chances and opportunities they want to realize. And working in technology, you have to put a lot of hours, but I changed my mindset of saying that I will still put hours, but I need to get attention to the things that do matter more to me than the work.
Fascinating. Yeah. Yeah, I found myself, like, when I had my first daughter, I noticed that there was a change in how I viewed my life as well as my work. And I don't know if you've experienced this, but I feel like sometimes there are lessons from managing people that you can apply with children. And then there are lessons from managing children that you can apply with managing people. I don't know if you've experienced it.
I feel like sometimes my my children are unmanageable.
Yeah, that's the nature of children. I think if anything, that toughens us up as, like, in terms of, obviously there's not the restriction that you have in a business of what is acceptable behavior and not in a family setting. It's very different. But also, I think, builds patience and also stretches our ability to handle others, I feel. It's a growing experience, I think, parenthood.
Yeah.
So one last question. Like, if you weren't in tech, what would you have done different? Like what might have been another career you might have chosen? Or is that never entered your mind?
No, it did. I enjoy skiing a lot. It's
Uh,
a seasonal sport, and I really wanted to become a ski instructor. Too old for this. Not the best skier, but if I weren't in tech, I would go and be first probably a ski bum, just living next to the hill, but making money by being a ski instructor. And this obviously during the winter months, but then during summer month, go to South America where skiing season is the reverse and spend the rest of the time there and be happy. That's my format of meditation. Actually, this is a great format to make business. I made a lot of business on ski chairs. You're
wow.
riding with someone for 7-8 minutes and you have the conversation and you have a couple of laps, you have a drink after all. And people who go to ski hills, they usually have some free time and potentially some business as well. So I can't name names, but we've got a lot of business in distillery with my connections that resulted from those conversations starting on the ski hill.
Wow. That's fascinating that a personal interest actually helps your business. Um, and I think you've kind of set up your life pretty nicely with being in North America. You can enjoy the skiing season here and having your business delivery in South America. You could still enjoy skiing there.
I have never done skiing in Latin America. This is a shame, I know. I'm actually fixing this year because we have offices in Buenos Aires and Cordoba, and Argentina actually has world-renowned skiing regions. I hope I'm not butchering the name. One of them is Las Leñas, and I'm going to Las Leñas after visiting our office in August. So 2 months from now or 3 months from now, I will be skiing in the region where I've never skied at a time where I never skied, and I'm looking forward to it.
That's fantastic. So, just in closing, is there a question that you wish I had asked you today?
Oh, there is one. We touched base a little bit about why, and I told you that my ultimate why is kids. But the question that I wish you asked, Pradeep, is what's next? Let's say that the company is where it needs to be. I have completed my professional goals. What would be next?
Yes, what would be next?
Oh, okay. That's how that goes. All right. I have a dream. I want to work for a large corporation with scale that right now just distillery is not at, say 10,000+ people. And we work with clients like that. Many of them are tens of thousands of people companies. And I would love to have a chance in my professional career to touch the scale ones, but I also want a little bit of freedom. So in my ideal world, what's next is I'm a part of a big company, but I also have some either venture or entrepreneurial department that does things within the company with somewhat unlimited budget and flexibility in spending this budget. I know these things don't exist.
Yeah, no, that's great. Maybe you can create one.
We'll see.
Yeah. Andre, it has been such a pleasure. I feel like it's been maybe a little over an hour, but I feel like I came off with so much wisdom, and I can see why you're as successful as you are. So thank you for taking the time today and sharing your wisdom. I'm sure anybody that's watching this is going to benefit from it.
Thank you so much, Pradeep. It was my pleasure. And yes, an hour went by unnoticed.
Likewise. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for listening. I hope you found this episode insightful. Join me for the next episode in 2 weeks where I interview another guest.